All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode. That's right, of the London is Blue podcast. Hopefully, your favorite Chelsea podcast out there and a part of the Men in Blazers Media Network. We're coming to you after the Guard of Honor happened, and then Liverpool got their asses kicked on the day by plucky upstarts Chelsea Football Club. And Nick, it was a glorious Sunday, a wonderful May the 4th be with you as well on this one, and absolutely just defeated the true evil empire, which is Liverpool.
Yeah, there is a lot riding on this. Obviously, there's a lot riding on the last handful of games, and to come out with the energy and enthusiasm that we'll talk about, I think was a huge piece of how this end of the season will go. And I think you could argue that everyone's making the same commentary that this is the best time to get Liverpool. They've just partied all week, all that sort of stuff. I never really bought that, and I do think that they might have been a wee bit sluggish, but Chelsea had to go win it. They weren't just going to give it to us. Tried to for the second goal, but yeah, it was a competitive game. It wasn't like they just rolled over and died. So we had to go do it.
They did give rap. They decided Slot decided to make 6 substitutions. He talked about in the pregame press conference that he had, or pregame interview that he had, that he knew people were going to tournaments this summer. He knew they had played long. He knew he wanted to reward people. I mean, a completely different midfield than what Liverpool had fielded the majority of the season. And so that was a strategic choice he made in failure for this in particular match. And again, at the end of the day, Liverpool is still champions. Congratulations. You won the Premier League this year, but we smoked them in this game. And I want to get into all that because I think there's a lot of fun that we can have here. And we're going to start through match reviews, Nick, because look, I think people want to remind us that Matt Law knew that was one right off the top.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to Matt this week. I'm sure I won't hear any of that nonsense. Never. But Childish Gabino with Matt Law knew, Callan with 2 Kwanzaa gifts, Megan with Magnificent Magic Moy. A little bit more on him this week in our awards YouTube wrap, which will be fun. Alex in Houston, a journeyer to London with us with Damek Luxury Living. We are sponsored, and boy, does it feel good. Chris Brudrick with Shivers at Stamford, which I believe is in relation to Cole Palmer, doing a little bit of a selly there. Tommy with The Hangover Cure, and then Peter, Art Thou Romeo, which is very, very clever. So lots of good ones here, Dan. What was yours?
Limited Honor Award, because they got the Guard of Honor coming out of the pitch, and then 3 minutes into it, it all fell apart for this Liverpool team. And I don't know. I loved it. I loved every bit of this game. I had so much fun. I was strutting around the neighborhood this afternoon, just light steps, happy vibes, smile on my face, because Chelsea got it done. And this was the match that we had said that was most likely to be the one where Chelsea would drop points. And you don't want to see them drop points in the remainder of the matches that we have this season now, but you have given yourself a massive boost for those Champions League spots, Champions League odds, which we'll get to the very near end of the pod when we look at the Opta table that they have for projections. But huge day. Liverpool didn't show up. They got rolled over. We put the truck forward, back. We broke their back, and it was wonderful. What was your 3-word match review?
Wow. Just okay. Lots of analogies in there, Dan. Save some for the pod. Yeah. I went with they played One Step Beyond after the game, and it's always lovely to hear that wonderful tune. But I went with One Step Forward. I think, as you referenced, obviously there are now 3 more Premier League matches to go, and we are in a spot that is interesting. And I think this weekend might have been more of a mental edge than anything else. Obviously, the points are very close. The goal differential is very close. But for Chelsea to go out and beat Liverpool, for the other teams to do what they've done over the last few days, I think there might be a little bit of a mental edge being gained here. So very, very excited about that.
Well, again, it is our Liverpool match review. If you have not guessed that from how excited we are about beating them for the first time in quite some time. It was this past Sunday, May the 4th, in the Premier League at the wonderful home of football, Stamford Bridge. A 3-1 victory to the good guys. And it was Enzo Fernandez in the third minute that got it done. As you mentioned, Kwanzaa, the old goal, one of the most hilarious own goals you will ever see scored, with a assist and the goal from both players of the opposition team. Thank you very much. Virgil van Dijk, though, decides to play a little bit of a spoiler here, kind of unmarked in the 85th minute to pull one back. But then Cole Palmer gets the first goal since January with a penalty won by Moises Caicedo, marauding into the box and giving us an opportunity to really allow our wonderful talisman player to reset in this moment. I'm sure that one was probably your favorite of the goals, Nick. With the narrative involved? Come on.
I mean, the narrative's strong. I really did like the Kwanzaa home goal, though. I mean, as far as like slapstick humor goes, I mean, come on. It's he hits him. He hits him in the nether regions, and it goes in over Endo's head into the goal. I mean, that's a tough, for comedic purposes. I'm going to go with that one first.
Very fair. Well, just a reminder, it was Bob. It was a Bob performance for me. Sanchez between the sticks, Moises Caicedo at right back, Trev Chalobah, Levi Colwell, and Mark Cucurella. Cucurella just absolutely locked down on the day, too. Romeo Lavia having some wonderful passes before he had to get subbed off. And then it was Enzo Fernandez, again, the initial goal scorer, having a great day as well. Nani Madueke, Cole Palmer, and Pedro Neto eventually went up top when some substitutions were made. And Nico Jackson leading the line initially. We only used 3 of our subs. Jadon Sancho in the 72nd minute. You had Malagusto in the 78th minute, and then Reece James in the 88th minute. Jorgensen, Badiashile, Tosin, Josh, Ty, and Kiernan all unused on the day. I mean, I think we're seeing with Lavia being available with these type of games that Enzo Maresca is really trying to lean on Caicedo as I'm going to put you in that right back position, but really have you be that additional midfield player that
it's midfield overload.
We overloaded there, allowed Cucurella to really, there was less of the marauding center of the box Cucurella in this one, because he drew the assignment of Mo Salah for the day. A Mo Salah performance where he had a single shot on the day, no shots on target. One of the very few times this Premier League season that has happened. I think it's only 4 other times he has been limited to a single shot in a Premier League game this season. I mean, that speaks, I think, volumes to, like, again, a total team effort to make sure that it was difficult to get the ball to him. But Cucurella stepped up and was available on the day for it. So I mean, we're going to talk about all of them, Nick, but like, I think just tactically, the setup, what Maresca is doing, how he's trying to really fit players in, it feels like this, if Lavia remains healthy, could be the format for the next 3 games in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is it's a lineup that's pretty versatile in the way that it can come to life. Obviously, Trev and Levi and Cucurella are comfortable in that back 3 setup. If Cucurella doesn't have to maraud forward and play left wing. Noni's been an interesting fit over there the last couple of games to like keep that width and be productive on the left-hand side. So yeah, I do think the Caicedo midfield overload, we've seen our midfield struggle at times this year to get Lavia fit in there, to get Enzo a little bit further forward, doing what, he did in the 3rd minute, and then allow 4 attackers to really start to go at this thing in a more comprehensive way is really good. There's still a lot of stuff in the attack that I'd love to get right in these next 3 games so that it's a lot more comfortable than it might have been otherwise. But I mean, it certainly allows you to flex a little bit. I think you have to watch out with this formation against teams who want to play on the counterattack, because if Caicedo gets caught out in that midfield role, that the right back hole is open. I think especially against a team like Newcastle, someone like Anthony Gordon, Harvey Barnes, whoever could really slot in there and like hurt us. But I think just game by game, I like the midfield where it is. I like how controlled they were today, and let's just see what happens next.
Yeah, definitely good vibes FC on the day. Chelsea only had 35% possession of the ball to the 65% that Liverpool had, but we had 3.13 XG to their 1.05. The math on that one, Nick. 5 big chances, 3.13, 3 goals on the day. Could have been more. I think the one I really wanted was the Cole off the post one, the first one that
Oh my
just
God.
dinked out.
That would have been it would have been one of my goals. Probably would have been my goal of the season. Honestly, it's so outrageous to even attempt that, let alone just your one spin off of the post. Like it would have been one of my favorite goals ever. I think just the fake out, the no look. I was devastated for him because if ever a guy could have used a break in that moment, it would have been him. So yeah, I agree.
And if we look at it, 5 goalkeeper saves for them to our 1. So definitely did not give Bob a lot to do today, but I felt like he was in command of the box, that he was coming up to claim, that he was generally locked in. He knew when he was under pressure and to kind of kick it out and just say, look, I know, boss, if you want me to play it, short. We're not doing that today. Thank God. Phenomenal. Again, we had a total of 17 shots. 7 of those were on target, 2 off the woodwork. One of those, which you mentioned, was the Cole opportunity there. 14 of our shots did come in from inside the box too. Like, we were definitely able to get in. I think the way that we actually had multiple attackers in the box, I mean, the availability of Enzo kind of coming from deep, as well as Cole being available, Neto kind of either crossing in or kind of playing it back to someone else who would cross it in. And then whether it was Madueke or Jadon Sancho, like, we had a lot of players in the box for this game. So even though we didn't have maximum possession, what I thought was really interesting was just how this setup also allowed, because of the way that, Lavia was kind of pushing forward from a passing perspective, we were able to move real quick in this game when we did want to kind of make a transition. And like, it just felt locked in.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you look at the statistics in this one, and 35% possession for our team is kind of a shock to the system, right? In the way that we were playing, especially the way that you mentioned the midfield overloads, and hypothetically you would have more possession. But I don't mind us having 35% possession if we're creating 3.13 expected goals and have 5 big chances and have 17 total shots and are playing football. I mean, we played football today. This was direct, it was dynamic, and it took advantage of a Liverpool team that tried to do to us what we try to do to other teams, and we're not going to let them just have meaningless possession without punishing them in transition. We did a phenomenal job today. I thoroughly, this is one of the better performances we've had in some time. Obviously, it's one of the better results we've had in some time, but I really enjoyed watching it, and I think that's a credit to the team, and just sacrificing possession for what I think were a lot better chances along the way.
Yeah, a one random stat from Opta Joe 3. Chelsea have scored within the opening 3 minutes of Premier League game at Stamford Bridge for the first time since December of 2017 against Stoke via Antonio Rudiger. Again, not the name that you're going to pair with the individual scoring the goal, and definitely gave us one there. So flying was the way that they talked about it. And then just the other one, first win against Liverpool all competition since March 4th, 2021. Only our 3rd win since 2020 until now. Like, we've been on a slide. It's
slide.
Fucking sucked. It's been abjectly horrible to have Liverpool hanging this over us for so long. And again, I know they won the league. I know they've secured Champions League for next season. I know all this bullshit, but like, on the day, you just gotta take what you get. And like, we got the win, and they're going home sad and upset about not winning against Chelsea. Like, it doesn't spoil their season. It's good for our season. Let's just all agree that we can all still find a way to be happy.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where my head is at. You look at these results too, and it's like so many 0-0 draws in here, a couple of 0-0 losses and penalties. The obviously the League Cup final last year against their B team, we got absolutely cooked January last year, 4-1. That was a tough game. We were competitive earlier this year against them. I think, Slot mentioned that in his pregame press conference. He's adopted the Pep Guardiola, let's compliment these guys to death tactic before the game. But he said it was one of the few times this season where they felt like they were outplayed, was against us earlier in the season. So, it did feel like we were due for a breakout game against a Big Six opponent. We've struggled against Big Six opponents. Not playing particularly well against any of them in a long time. And so let Arsenal be the next domino to fall in this. We need to get our get right game on because, you look at a long string of draws and losses over the last handful of years, and it hasn't been a rivalry in terms of results, and we need to make it one again.
It's been a beatdown. It's been a beatdown by them on us, and today was not that case at all. So, Nick, I do think before we go to ad break, I'm going to give you the opportunity here to unleash a mega-sized version of the shithouse moments, plural. There's an S on that one, underlined, capitalized, of the match.
You thought Chelsea had a big XG today. Just wait till I.
The expected shithouse was off the chain.
First of all, Romeo Lavia walking by the Liverpool fans who were shouting all sorts of abuse, and then just the biggest fucking smile on his face, just because he knew what he was doing. So that was one. One from that was crowdsourced from everyone was Robert Sanchez making the 80-yard run all the way over for Cole's penalty and celebrating with the team was so fucking funny. I saw the replay and I was like, is that Robert Sanchez all the way over? It was.
Look, Brandon Busby often tells us the goalkeepers are the best athletes on the pitch. Robert Sanchez was trying to show off a little bit today and put himself into that conversation. I loved it. I thought it was great. The whole goal celebration, actually, for Cole, the way the team rallied around him, was fantastic. That is just a generally like wonderful moment of like what it means to score, what it means to be contributing kind of within sport and have a team identity and rally around your guy. Awesome moment. What else you got?
It was an awesome moment. The post game where Cole and Noni were looking at the replay up on the big board, and Noni's like pointing out a move that he did, and then looked like he was pointing at a Liverpool player who was coming to tackle him. He was like, no, fuck that. And then he realized the camera was on him. He's like, oh, okay. Sorry about the language. That was pretty good. And then look, I think Cole post game took out some frustration that he was having on people who shithouse on social media when he was in a bad run of form, and just like exercise some demons there. That it looked like he, I think you mentioned in our group chat that he looked about 10 pounds lighter after the game than he did while he was playing. He looked like Nico a couple weeks ago. It looked like he had the weight of the world just kind of lift off of his shoulders there for a minute. And I think that was a really interesting post-game interview. He cussed a little bit, and he wasn't really having the interviewers' questions either. He was seemed a little annoyed by them, but that whole end of game sequence was super fun, and I think the scenes after the game were really great, and I'm glad that the Stamford Bridge crowd got to enjoy that big win, because it's been a while since we've had one of these big wins at home where the atmosphere is like, gets to enjoy it. And I think there was some nervousness, especially at the end until the penalty went in, the final whistle blew. But, I was really happy for the home support.
Yeah, great day out, great game out. Everyone we talked to who was at the ground was having an absolute fun day, and hats off to you. But look, there's so much to talk about in this one. We might run a little long, but I think you'll have fun with us too. But we're going to get an ad break in here. And when we do that and come back, let's talk about all the other goodness in this match. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, Nick, I don't even know where to begin. I really don't even know where to begin in this one, because there are so many good things to talk about in this result. And I think it's an all fun zone. Sometimes there's no fun zones. This is an all fun zone. Great match. I mean, you talk about the idea that, sometimes Chelsea, the way that they play gives you trust issues. Like, this is the game where like breaks it back. And you're like, this is what I want to believe in. This is the team I want to see. Like, you saw Maresca that was willing to break away from the defined identity of how he wants the team to play a little bit deeper, to work on transition, to move the ball kind of quickly, to absorb some pressure in that like 25 to 40-ish minute where we were really just kind of under it for a little bit. I mean, the Caicedo move, the way the Cucurella played, Lavia's performance, like Sanchez being locked in. I mean, there was so many good things to say. So I just want to give you an opportunity right off the top of the A block here. What are some of those things that brought you joy from this match that you were very excited about?
Again, I'll just say like the counterattacking, I think take it to them sort of mentality. I think in the past, this young team has been a little deferential to better teams. They haven't shown up and punched back when we've gotten hit, or they haven't started a game quickly enough because they're worried, they might score on us, right? And I think we almost, is the thing in American football, if you play prevent defense, you're preventing yourself from winning the game because you just sit back too much, and eventually a good team will score against you. That's kind of how I felt, for us in big games, is we've sometimes been too deferential. And obviously there's a lot on the line that this team didn't need to be reminded what the motivation for this game was. And they certainly, I think anytime you do a guard of honor for someone else, that's a motivator, right? Is like, this sucks. This is not what we'd want to do. I'm happy we did it, right? I think it's a classy and right thing to do. But I'm sure the players were like, well, fuck these guys. We're going to go out and torch them. And I was really happy with the attitude, right? I saw a little bit of a maturity, points. If you're playing on a video game, our maturity score went up a little bit today. I thought they were tough. There were some tough challenges in this one. It was a fairly contested game, but players who I think have shrunk in some of these moments before did not shrink today, and were really competitive. And that sort of competitiveness, I was praying that we would see it. I did BBC Sports World on right before the match, and I was reminded plenty of times on that show how bad our record was against them, how we haven't quite got it done, how we've kind of failed in big moments against Liverpool recently. And like, not like I fucking needed that, but it was, it was a reminder that, we certainly haven't been great against them. And this was a moment where I think the mentality of the team overcame some adversity, and some young players decided that they were going to do something really, really great and step up in a big occasion. And I just, above anything else, I'm just pleased about that.
Who is your player of the day? Just out of curiosity.
Oh,
I think it's really hard to choose.
There were a lot. I mean, I think if Lavia had a better second half before he was subbed, he would have been up there for me. But I think you have to give it to Cole today. We started, I know we'll talk about him in the next block, but like, we started to see some of the creativity and the flexibility tactically, him running into different spaces, not just trying to get it onto his left foot and shoot. Obviously the no look shot is fucking outrageous, that sort of thing. But like, his performance, especially in the second half, I didn't think it was like unbelievable in the first half, but I think the second half really sealed it. But I do want to give a shout out to Trevoh Chalobah. SofaScore only had him rated at a 6.9 today.
The Jekyll and Hyde of SofaScore, my man.
I thought that he was a fucking mountain out there today. I thought he was genuinely amazing. He put in a couple of critical challenges, and I think largely bossed whoever was kind of in and around his vicinity on the day. Like, it just didn't. Nothing got by him. He was just there. So, I'm always puzzled that we try and sell him every single year for reasons that pass understanding. But especially after a performance like this, you're like, him and Levi got something going together. And I think Levi was also very good on the day. So it's one of those games, Dan, where you could look around Enzo Fernandez, you look around Moises Caicedo, you can look around Mark Cucurella, Noni Madueke, like all these guys. The only one I wouldn't put up there is Nico Jackson, who I'm sure we'll come on to. any one of them could have been player of the match. I think Cole probably edges it.
Yeah, I think that is correct. I mean, I think Caicedo had another really impressive performance. Enzo, I thought, again, another just inspired kind of bit of football from him too. The way he's kind of stepping up and just being able to, again, not have to be as involved in some of the defensive actions makes his life so much easier. He gets those opportunities, just like he did with the first goal, to like really find himself in advantageous positions for the team.
Yep.
So again, a lot to enjoy there. Maresca got a couple thoughts afterwards. Where he kind of he got asked a couple questions, and like hats off to him too, because he mentioned the passing of Paul and started his press conference, post match press conference, by calling it out. Very, very class move from him. Great, just in general overall day from him. I love seeing the celebrations with him at full time to the fans, and then also with the players on the pitch. He was asked though, how much momentum can you get from a result like this with tough matches coming up? And he, kind of highlighted, I think, very fairly, they're all going to be tough now. You have to go game by game. And the reason why the staff, the coaching staff, the players at the end are so happy, even the fans, is because at this stage of the season, you need to win games for sure. Today, probably the environment was the best environment of this season with the fans. This is why we need every game fantastic, or what we need every game. It's fantastic. It's so good. And he talked about then a follow-up question was the advantage at this stage of the season. Is it chasing or being chased ones in terms of pressure? He said he didn't know, to be honest. It's difficult because if you are there and the ones behind, they want to chase you. If you're chasing, I don't know. The only thing I would like is to finish at the top finish at the end of the season. Like he's locked in. We've had good Maresca moments. We've had bad Maresca moments. I feel like we are on a little bit of the upward trajectory with him at the end of the season here. Obviously putting Reggie in, getting him an opportunity in the midweek fixture. I think there were kind of some questions about rotation heading into this one, but got it right over the last couple matches. Again, it's a results-based business, and the results currently are trending in the right direction. So he gets the same credit he would get if he would get the blame if we were not doing well right now.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think the tactical adjustment, having Lavi available, is something that has changed the way that we have played this season. Certainly did against Everton, and the way that we were more direct. This was very much of the same thing. I think the main question that you look at is if you know that he's probably not going to be available all season, if Wes Fofana can't continue to stay healthy, then the sporting directors need to provide suitable backups where the level doesn't drop off that much so that you can continue to play in the style that you want. And that's a whole other thing to talk about. But, I think even in the post game press conference that he did for Sky, he looked like a combination of happy and relieved, I think would be an accurate way to put it. And, I think he acknowledged too, and I think that this is a good thing for a young team, that the team that we just beat is the best team in the league. They won the league going away. They won it in late April or early May, right? Where it was a conclusive victory, and obviously aided by Arsenal's incredible fall off at the end of the season, which just brings me phenomenal joy, and may it continue in the midweek against PSG. But I think it's a good learning moment for him. I think it's a good learning moment for the players. They're like, if you show up and if you're intentional and if you take your chances, you can beat the best team in the league. You can beat anyone on any given day if you show up with the right frame of reference and the right performance and the right training during the week, and you can beat these teams. This is by far our best win of the season. I don't there's no other win that comes close to this. This is the best win of the year. It's against the best team that we played this year, and I think that hopefully this is a marker for them to go, okay, we don't we can beat Djurgården on Thursday, great. But we can actually beat the best team. And I think having that going into Newcastle, having that going into Forest, hopefully against a very shambolic Manchester United team, will allow us to perform and get the maximum points that we can get, and then just figure out a way to level up over the summer and into the next year.
So then I want to talk about the fact that we got to see, I think, another really strong performance from, who ended up winning Chelsea's player of the season. But I mean, you had Cole Palmer saying it in the post-match interview. You had him getting giving the piggyback ride to Cole Palmer. What he's been doing all season, putting the team on his literal back.
Yep.
Moises Caicedo. Again, like, I think I was feeling this way. We were kind of at one point in the season, I think it was getting close, like Cucurella and Caicedo, and like just in the last 10 matches or so, like he's done enough, more than enough this season to absolutely be the guy. And just, I mean, credit for the recognition from supporters and the players, credit from, I mean, his performances all season and the consistency that he's had. Again, he does tons of international miles when he has to come back from international duty to make himself available. The dude is an absolute Iron Man. And whether it's right back, whether it's defensive mid, whether it's playing a little further forward, like whatever you ask of him, he gets it done. And I'm so happy he's on our team. And like, this was like a, kind of a sliding doors type of game too, right? Like we had two players in Lavia and Caicedo out there balling out, having a great time that could have been Liverpool players in another timeline. And I'm very glad that, particularly for Moises Caicedo, maybe jury's still a bit out on Lavia, but definitely for Moises Caicedo, I am beyond thrilled and feel like every time I watch him play, like the value should have been higher. Like we committed some daylight robbery.
Yeah, there's I think when you think about his season, in a season of massive highs and massive lows, he's been the metronome the entire time. He's been the guy just doing consistent performance after consistent performance, week in, week out, fit, available, performing, right? Like these are the characteristics. I think last season, the high of Cole's 37 goals and assists across all competitions, it was a no-brainer where to go with that award. This year, the players voted for him and the fans voted for him. And I think that that's a pretty significant indicator that he is the one, right? I mean, over 2 seasons, he's been our most consistent performer. And, obviously, I think we all would agree that Cole Palmer's theoretical ceiling is super, super high. Like, it could be a Ballon d'Or type of guy. I don't know if Moises Caicedo will ever be in the Ballon d'Or. Maybe he will, right? Maybe he will. But it really does take like a special midfield season like Rodri had or whatever. You're winning stuff and you're like player of the match and so on and so forth consistently to get there. But I mean, just imagine where we'd be without him. And that's enough math for me. I mean, we would have, I don't even know how many points we'd have without him. We have 63 right now? Oh, we're in the 30s for sure. I mean, without him, without Lavia all season, Enzo Fernandez doing that job with Kieran Dewsbury Hall in midfield, I mean, it's not even something you want to think about. So I'm just like, huge credit to him. Huge credit to him and his leadership. I know that he's not often captain because Enzo Fernandez is vice captain. Reese is obviously captain, but in a season full of ups and downs, to have someone consistently putting in good to very good performances week after week, playing way too much football. We got to get him some fucking help, obviously, and like figure out a way to rotate him without losing a ton. He's just been incredible, and I think he is a worthy winner of our player of the season.
Well, we'll talk more about Cole Palmer, other players, and then also Chelsea's upward trajectory in both the table and in the odds. The predictions for the end of the season spots in just a moment, but we're going to get our last ad break out of the way. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. All right. The man's back. The Burrs are there. The shits are in the interviews, Nick. Cole Palmer's returned. It's exactly what we wanted. We wanted it on Thursday when he featured against Your Garden. You were hoping that would be the one, but I told you I would take anything for Cole to get that first goal and to be back in scoring ways. And we obviously remember his last penalty take was not converted. So this was a nice opportunity to reset the streak at 1 and then to just get, again, the monkey off his back. And like, this is just a really, really great timing. Could not have been better timing. Like, actually, it could have been in February. We wouldn't be in this position we were right now. But I'll take today as a great time for him to get scoring again. And I would love for him to continue scoring all the way to the end of the season.
Yeah, it'd sure be neat. I did some math this morning when I was on BBC, and like right now, Cole's on 23 Premier League goal contributions, Jackson's on 15, right? So you're about 38 goal contributions from those two. Those two are obviously the ones that haven't scored, so I'm just kind of picking them out of the lineup here. I think if they get collectively 41 goal contributions between them before the end of the season, knowing that other contributions will come from other places, that'll probably be enough to get us over the line where we want to go. Neto, Madueke, Sancho, those guys I think are on 25 total. And I would love to get a few more between them before the end of the year too, just to really get it across. But this Chelsea team needs to score goals through the end of the year. We need Cole Palmer in the most kind of dire circumstances that we're going to face all year, going to Newcastle, going to Forest. We need him to be his creative best. We need him to look lively, to try different things that break opposition lines and hearts. And there was a moment in the first half where I just saw the light flick on again for the first time in a while, and then he started trying more and more passes. And then by the end of the game, I don't know if you remember the last one, the last really great pass that he made, but he had the one-time pass out to Noni Madueke, right, where he bends the ball around Shimikas, I think, and that was an indicator to me that, he's feeling himself again and he feels good. And obviously the penalty is great. It's a perfect penalty. It's unsavable. But holy shit, like there were some things in this game outside of the goal. I think the goal is great. And the goal is going to hopefully be the thing that frees him up a little bit. But it just looked like he was not playing with a weighted vest around himself anymore. And let's hope that is now in the position, Dan, where he's able to pick up those weird spaces, to be dynamic, and honestly, I think it helps that our wingers have played better too, where he's not able to be isolated so much, that they're picking up their end of the bargain too. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased for him. It was obvious in his post-game interview that he was pretty fucking annoyed, and I would get that if I were him. I think he probably hears it all the time. There's a video of him like running through Stamford Bridge and everyone trying to like talk to him and stuff like that. It's probably not his bag. He doesn't really seem like the extroverted type necessarily in those moments, but I hope that he is in a better headspace and he's in a better place to contribute.
I love the acknowledgement, the fact that it was around like what I need to do for the team, the additional motivation, the desire to fight. Like I think things that people would question based upon outward appearance a lot of times for players. And I think it's a very helpful reminder for us that like outward projection doesn't always match internal monologue dialogue that you're having with yourself and the internal fight and drive. And like, yes, we probably flagged moments where Cole has been sluggish, but I think we've also acknowledged that over the past couple of matches, the fitness seemed to have really kind of returned to form. I mean, he was assisting, I think it was like 2 or 3 assists over his last 5 games. Like you were clearly seeing the contribution was there. It just was how does this guy not have a goal? Like something in the universe is trying to prevent him from scoring. And then today, a very, very late penalty was the situation that got it done. Squawka had it kind of in one tweet: first goal in 1,162 minutes of Premier League action, but on the day tied for most touches or most passes in the final third, 13. tied for most touches in the opposition box, 8, most shots at 5, most chances created 4, most interceptions at 3, tied for most shots on target 2, and then tied for most fouls 1, 2. Should always be winning more, but he kind of gets that special player treatment where you never get as many fouls as you should, because that's just how it rules. And yeah, I'm super happy for him. I'm super happy for the whole team. The celebration around him was great. Just get me 1 or 2 more before now and the end of the season, particularly winning goals against Newcastle and Nottingham Forest. And, I'm sure you would like to be Manchester United as a former Manchester City Academy product. That would be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think the celebration was just like, he has carried this team for most of the last 2 seasons. Obviously, this most recent slump excluded, but I think the appreciation from his colleagues was really nice to see, and I think like him and Noni, like in particular, seem to have a really really good relationship. They've played together, in England, youth setups and all that sort of stuff, and they seem to have a just really good relationship. And I think Noni just putting his arm around him as like a friend was a really kind of cool moment. And Reese kind of bigging him up at the end and kind of jostling his hair a little bit and having some fun with him. Like you could tell there was relief. You could tell there was a little bit of like, whew, and breathe. Like we can, his last kick of the game, you don't really need to think about getting back on defense or anything like that, right? Like just so anyway, I just hopefully we're just in a better spot, and that he's able to just turn this into a few more by the end of the year. And you figure out how to avoid this slump next year, or get right over the Club World Cup, or do any of that.
So Nick, we're gonna get into what are the odds for Chelsea to secure Champions League football.
What are the odds?
I just want to get the Nick Verlaney heat check right now, though, to start. How are you feeling about it, particularly considering the weekend's results, what's been happening with other teams, and where Chelsea are at now from the last time we did this, the prior weekend, to this weekend?
I will feel better if Crystal Palace take care of business as you're listening to this podcast against Nottingham Forest. I think if that happens, then I feel much better. Obviously, Palace getting dusted by Brentford last week, I thought that was a possibility. I didn't think it was going to be that comprehensive. Newcastle dropping points at Brighton today, and fucking Brighton, just idiots with the handball. Just can't trust them. So Newcastle dropping points today. We're tied with Newcastle on points. I think we're just 1 behind on goal diff, right? So I mean, we're right there in the hunt, and I think Villa winning still keeps them around, but they are, I think, at a disadvantage on 35 matches played, with only 60 points, whereas Forest only have played 34. They're obviously playing on Monday against Palace as you're listening to this. So Villa's going to be in a bit of a tough spot, but they've won 4 of their last 5 too. I mean, they're on a heater. Forest are the one that have dropped points. We are 5 unbeaten, or actually 6 unbeaten, and then Newcastle is 3 out of their last 5 as well. So I mean, look, everyone is playing relatively well right now. I mean, I think Forest would be the outlier, but we're in a really, really, really tight race here. I mean, obviously winning today, I did not expect to win today. So it was a huge boon to the chances for top 5. But man, if Palace could do us a real solid, then I would feel much, much better about where we were heading.
Yeah, no Mark Gahey own goals for that game. Just
no, please
no. Opta at this point, obviously Liverpool won the league, so no concern there. Arsenal losing to Bournemouth. Nick, the narrative is there. I'm not going to project it all out again. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be the most hilarious thing?
It would make me, Dan. It would make me the happiest, but it's still hard to see.
The issue is that they play Newcastle, and like that, depending upon what happens in Newcastle, like you probably want the team that's already in a much more beneficial position to beat back Newcastle and give us an easier run in to top four
Correct.
instead of top five. So like, but I would still be fucking hilarious if they dropped out and then also lost to PSG in the Champions League. I would love it. It's probably not going to happen, but it'd be fun. They have essentially a 99.89% chance of Champions League probability. City, who are continuing to fly, 97.7% probability. Newcastle, here we go now. Projected points at end of the season, 67.61, with a 77.9% probability of Champions League football at the moment. And then Chelsea, who have been behind Nottingham Forest for quite some time, have now gone back into fifth with a projected points of 67.14 and a 66.52% probability of Champions League football. Nottingham Forest now on 66.25. And these margins are very slim, and a lot of it is going to depend upon the Newcastle match and the Forest match in the season. But you know what? If Palace do us a favor and we beat the next two, we don't really have to worry about the Forest match as much. It's kind of nice. It would be great not to have to worry about it in the last game of the season, that's for sure. But Forest, 44.32% now probability. That might change, though, when they play tomorrow. So you might see some adjustment there because it doesn't necessarily always take into account that the fact there's a match played. It does try to kind of simulate what they think is going to happen against these teams across the other matches in the season. Obviously, we have a better form right now than Forest. And we actually we have no losses in our last 5. Newcastle have 1. Forest has 3. Like, Forest, again, I don't want to oversell it, Nick. They have Palace. They have, again, Leicester and West Ham, which, if you watched Leicester or West Ham recently,
those are wins. We got to count those as wins, right? Like, come on.
I mean, look, Leicester got that one against Southampton, so you never know what's going to happen now. Just going to tear for these last couple of games here to set it off.
Yeah.
I mean, West Ham, the best you could hope for is a draw, like a plucky little draw. Graham Potter doing us a solid. It's probably not going to happen. And that Arsenal result is going to be huge for Newcastle. So,
yeah.
Look, it is a situation win and you're in type of thing here. So,
well, I mean that's the thing. Like, if you beat Newcastle, then I think it becomes again, if Palace beat Forest, which would be excellent, and we beat Newcastle, I think it becomes incredibly difficult I think that it's essentially jostling between Newcastle and Forest for what happens next. Like, I truly believe that, because Chelsea would be on 66, right?
Yeah.
Newcastle would be on 63. Forest would be on 60. And we would probably have the superior goal difference. Now, it assumes, which, boy, is that a great way to be an idiot. It assumes that we beat a just fucking awful Manchester United team. A Manchester United team that will have probably advanced to the Europa League final at that point, who don't seemingly give a shit about their league form. But it doesn't mean that we're incapable of being idiots in that game and dropping points. So, but I mean, you beat Newcastle and you beat United. It's probably a wrap. So, I think, look, Newcastle will be, I think, genuinely our hardest game of the season. I think that atmosphere is going to be crazy. They play really well at home. Isak is scoring goals. They're going to be difficult. Like, let's just be honest. I know you and Sam will do the formal preview. We're not giving too much away here, but like, if you can go there and just beg, borrow, and steal a result against them and beat the dumbest team in the Premier League in the next fixture, which is Manchester United, then you're set. So I mean, again, the ball's in our court. You take a look at all we have to do is win out. All we have to do is win out.
We did the same thing last season to make our lives feel a little bit better. So let's just do it again. Run it back. Get some more dubs. Get it locked into the end of the season. Again, Chelsea sitting pretty in the moment at 5th position, 63 points, only behind one of the tie-breaking situations here with Newcastle on 4th, who are just also on 21 plus goal difference at the moment. But we hit the better form right now. Better form than any team really in the top 5.
City a better form than we do.
City. Okay, fine. Whatever.
City a better form than we do.
One more win.
I would argue like Villa have more wins. I think Villa are slightly better form than we are right now. Even though they have a loss, they have more wins. So I think it's probably a little too late for them at this stage, unless something weird happens. But yeah, I mean, look, I just please Crystal Palace. If we end this match week with the order in which we are at right now, which is Newcastle on 63, Chelsea on 63, same goal difference. They aren't leading goal difference. They have more goals for than we do. That is the tiebreaker there, so that makes sense. And Forest and Villa on 60. It's a decent advantage.
Well, look, we have tons more content coming your way this week. I'm sure Matt Law will have plenty of things to say about the Liverpool result in the midweek.
Can't wait.
We'll have a video about the Chelsea awards that were presented out to the players. I think some really nice recognition that was provided to the players within the community. Nick, you also have something you want to kind of add as well?
Well, we're going to have an announcement about Club World Cup coming up soon. So if
we're doing
you are
something
going to be, well, potentially, you know how we are, sneaky and under the radar.
Some beers to give away? Because I think we have some beers to give away.
It sure would be a real treat if we had Champions League football to celebrate for the Club World Cup. Man, wouldn't that be nice? I think we'd toast a couple of cold ones during that period for sure. But if you are going to be, let's just light touch. If you're going to be in Atlanta or Philly for the group stage,
you're going to see us open and say hi and potentially get a free beer. Look, we will give you more information about that in the coming days and weeks ahead as you potentially, if you're in those cities or if you're traveling to them to enjoy some Chelsea in the States, get an opportunity to do that. But again, tons more content coming your way. Hopefully a great result for Crystal Palace as well on the bank holiday in the UK tomorrow or today, a time of listening for you. But until next time, Chelsea fans, enjoy beating Liverpool and keep the blue flag flying high.